Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. I did say I'd do my Sunday chat on Monday. I'm doing a halfway house basically, so it's not my normal chat. But I just thought I'd have a general look round. I mean, I've hardly been out here over the weekend. So this morning there is some sunshine. So there's some light, you know, it always looks bright and cheery when the sun comes out. And I don't think the sun's going to be there long. So I thought I'd film now, basically. And there's not much going on down here, really. There's several of the Restrepias are in bloom, including that one, that is a giant bloom. That really is large. I'd say that is 3 inches from top to bottom. That's the one from the Eric Young Foundation, so it's one of their own hybrids. That one's had blooms, they're just finishing. That one over there's got lots of little blooms on. My Psychopsis that I mounted, the last 3 new growths have aborted. I was starting to get very worried about this, but now the new growth pushing out the top looks strong and there's no sign of rot. And there's another one at the back, just coming out there. So that's now got 2 new growths on that look like they're going to make it. And there's a single new root pushed out, that single little white bit. That needs water. It's watering day for the mounts today, so they haven't been done for a while. This epidendrum up here is having a root flush at the moment. Strange time of year to do it, but that's its main cane this year, and it is pushing up this little one as well, and it pushed up this one at the back. So that's sort of coming on. This one that looked like it was lost has had a lot of a bacterial infection type thing. You can see where the cane was cut and cinnamon was put, but it has now got a little new growth coming out from a different place. It's gone back a bulb instead of pushing out against this new one. So that might pull through now. I think whatever the infection was has stopped. But it's just a matter of whether that new growth can, you know, push on and produce a full-size bulb. We shall have to wait and see. But I don't want to lose that one. That's a very popular orchid. That's the thingy. I know it's got why not in it. Oh, and looks like the tag's fading. Little lemon drops crossed with something. Encyclia vitellina. And it's a very popular bloom. It blooms for absolutely ages. The blooms last a hell of a long time for a Cattleya-based orchid, so that's good. This Tahitian dancer, all jumbled up in amongst this lot. Spikes are pushing on now. I think there's either 4 or 5 spikes on that, so that's pushing on nicely. Can't get out the rest of them. Not shuffling plants around. I have shuffled though, so as a general view, minus the biggie up there, also minus the gigantic pot with the dendrobium from Zana, left room to put some of my taller, Miltonias from up here. There's been I'll call it a bit of a disaster. One of the holy clay pots has gone missing, and it is actually one of our project orchids. I'll come to that later. But basically, it hasn't been growing well for a very long time, and on inspection last week, towards the end of last week, 3 leaves on it not only had gone a pale colour, but there was some very nasty looking patterns on them. So I've decided it needs to go. So that's that one. Coming round here, the buds on the Victoria Regina are really starting to get some size now, so they may not be as long to opening as I thought. And again, shuffling round, we've got some more of the taller stuff here on this shelf. This is a double shelf because this bit's missing, so taking advantage of that. Need reasonable light, but not the highest light. Up here, my Sotoanum, that's going to open. Well, it should be at least 1 or 2 blooms open by tomorrow. those are the divisions left after I had to sort of hack the plant to pieces because it sort of failed miserably through lack of water. My own fault for once. Yeah, so there's more shuffling around been going on here. Nothing down the bottom really. This Tulumnia has been lasting well, although I think it is just showing signs of going to go soon, but that's been open a long time, as has this Miltonia, with its 2 separate spikes. That's on its way out, but yeah, so that's it's got to come off the mount, because I don't want to let yet another new growth produce aerial roots that end up dying back like that. You know, I mean, some of them got to the mount, but not many. Now, this end of the plant is already establishing quite a strong new growth that's going to push its new roots out any time now. So that needs coming off the mount and dealing with. It may get remounted as 2 separate plants, because it has done well on the mount. It's bloomed well, but when it headed off in 2 directions, you know, and the roots became aerial, it will progressively get worse if I don't deal with it. So that's got to be dealt with. That's a bit more kitchen time. As I say, the Cattleya shelves look a bit thin on the ground now because I've utilised the end of that top shelf, which gets very bright light despite not being as high as this one. But there's a lot less light coming in from above now because the sun's getting low in the sky. So it's more important to have stuff, you know, without anything above it, but close to the glass. As long as it's close to the glass, it will get good light. So there's a little bit less up here now because that one there came off of here because of the way the space was reallocated. That one has effectively got 3 sheaths with buds on, so that's going to be in bloom soon. This one's got buds coming in several places. That's going to be out soon. This one's got a massive sheath. Can't see the buds yet, I don't think. No, but that will bloom soon. This one's still in bloom. The fragrance on this today is wonderful. So yeah, and then the rest of the Cattleya types are up here, including we've got Cattleya types now that need repotting. That one there with the weeds growing out the top, that's in a mossy type compost. That needs to come out. I don't know whether to wait for the new roots or not, because the new growth is massive with a sheath but hasn't grown new roots yet. I'm not quite sure what to do with that one. There's another one somewhere, another Cattleya in a similar situation, similar sort of pot. I'll find it eventually. But anyway, there's 2 that need dealing with. Yes, the big dendrobium came down here, so that stays there now. And one of the Miltonias, the Reginellii, that's gone in there. Basically, that needs a little bit more light than it's getting there, but it's not producing its new growths yet. So I need the light as the growths start to get towards maturity to induce the, you know, the spikes. So it can stay there for now. And then up here we've got the come on, Laelia anceps. They've now got 6 inches to go before they get to the roof. Hopefully buds will come before then. The end of the spike is starting to get the look about it. So the buds are in this section here. So you know, you should see that soon. This twinkle's going absolutely flipping mad. The little twinkle's got quite a few spikes on. That hasn't got as many as last year, but they've only just started to grow, whereas these are sort of well advanced. These are progressing, branching, going all over the place. The Dendrobium alexandrae has that bloom's fully open now. The others are just starting. It's quite an amazing shape to that bloom, and they hang down quite nicely, which is good because some of the best colour and patterning is on the back of the petals and sepals. So you know, the buds look absolutely brilliant. So that's that one. This is now all Miltoniopsis, and they're all in the coconut fibre. So I'm going to see how well they do in that. they won't have made any progress yet. They haven't been in there long enough. I mean, one of them's only been in there a few days, so we'll see how that goes. This is still in bloom. This is lasting well. And, well, that sort of popped up. Don't know how that happened. I thought I was 21. Never mind. Yes, it's the way, with this flipping virus thing, the way things go, I couldn't have any sort of birthday celebration to any extent. You can't mix households around. You know, you can only have so many people gathered together. I just couldn't do anything, you know, so it's a sad state of affairs, effectively, when you spend your actual birthday, the day, on your own. I will have some nice food and some wine tonight, but basically the birthday stuff was done over the weekend, so I came home with that. Yes, so stuff going on up here. This one's pushing out nice new growths. That's been struggling for 3 years now and has finally decided to grow, and that had a fair bit to do with going on a mount. This little twinkle spike's pushing on nicely, one up the back there. This one's just started, some spikes. So the brassicas over here, well, that's a brassica. That's got a nice new growth with the start of a new root system. And then there's one round the back here, that's the sweet sugar. That pushed out a new growth with a reasonable bulb and has produced quite a lot of roots. So the next bulb on that will bloom. So yeah, there's quite a bit going on, but there's also quite a bit that's just coming to the not doing much stage, if you know what I mean. It's getting into winter, isn't it? That's what it is. This bulbophyllum up here is coming on nicely. This is the one with the really delicate but very small blooms. And there's a new growth up the top there. Another one a little bit farther down. One out the side. One there. And the most advanced one down the bottom. And another one started there now. That's on quite an old piece of the plant. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new growths on that. That will mean potentially 6 spikes, because it blooms on it grows a new growth and it blooms on the bulb that the new growth came out of. So the one prior to the latest. So if there's 6 new growths, in theory there's 6 bulbs behind those new growths that should produce a spike. If the spikes all came out together, that would be a stunning little plant. I suspect some of them may come out together because the state of the new growths is very similar, but this one here is quite a bit more advanced than the others. But yeah, it's growing nicely, that one, and doesn't take up much room. It's not too bad. So that's that one. Yeah, so I've got to water my mounts today. There isn't anything else to do out here because I had a good splash round at the end of last week. And with the temperatures the way they are now, even with this sun in here, I haven't made it up to 20 degrees yet. I'll be lucky to get 21 today. And that's with the door open. You know, I'm losing some heat from the house in here. Yeah, everything just sort of slows down. Days are getting shorter and all that. I've got a big decision to make, and it's, can I be bothered to set the grow lights up? Now this may be dependent on whether I can put them in a place without moving anything that will do some good. And if I can't, I really don't think I'm going to bother. I've spent all my life without grow lights and done quite nicely, thank you very much, if you know what I mean. And the faff of getting these grow lights up, this rack has to come down, which means all those plants have got to go somewhere else. Yeah? And then this lot up here will be in the way. Where are they going to go? You know, I've got an awful lot more mounts than I've had in previous winters. Less pots, but a lot more mounts, and they've all got to go somewhere. So I'm thinking this year I might not bother with those flipping lights. Unless I can just get, you know, I might be able to get one up here, say, just pointing down there, that general direction, which would catch all the cattleyas on those top shelves and filter down to here. And I wouldn't have to move anything. It could just go there, sort of facing over there at an angle. and just have that one. I mean, you know, the edge of this will get caught, so that would have to move. Got to be very careful, because anything that's closer than a certain distance will actually burn and frazzle the leaves. Not heat, light burn. So I'm thinking about it, but I might just not bother because of the hassle factor. So we shall see, and I shall come to that decision shortly. I've still got 2 layers of shade netting there. One of those needs to come off to get down to 1, and the single layer that's left on the roof needs to come off now. I don't need that layer of shade netting on the roof. It's getting up there, you know, it's steps and stuff. And I've still got my dodgy thumb, although basically it's not painful anymore. Basically it still clicks, it still does the judder, still does the sort of trigger bit, and it's discomfort, it's not nice at all, and obviously by doing it I don't think it's doing it any good, if you see what I mean, apart from every now and again just making sure my thumb will still bend and straighten, the important bit. Because if it's going to get stuck, I want it stuck straight. The last thing I want is it stuck bent, because it will be next to useless. Whereas if it's straight, it still has 80% of its function, you know, so we'll see how that goes. But it's not painful anymore anyway, it's just a flipping nuisance. And as part of some food that was being done at the weekend, that looks nothing now, but that bled for nearly an hour, because if you look at the curve of the top of my finger and look at where the 2 ends of the cut are, it's flipping deep. Bled for ages. We even had to have clean plates for our food because I bled all over the food. It was the last piece of food for the meal, which was cutting a lemon in half to squeeze the lemon juice out. Well, it pays to put it down on the chopping board, not hold it in your hand. Duh. Yeah, so it's like delay to our meal. Anyway, that weekend's done now, and nice time, good company and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, limited functionality on the grounds that you just can't do it. The risk is too great, so you have to look after yourselves and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, until next year. And as I say, I've got my mounts to water today, and that's all I've got to do out here. And then tomorrow I won't have the mounts to do. Tomorrow I'm going to look at every single pot out here to decide what else still needs repotting and get those out, you know, because if they're at the back of a shelf they'll get forgotten. So just get them out into a pile. I can just pile them up here for now. So that'll be the last big kitchen session. And while I'm doing it, I'll be thinking about, are there any mounts that would benefit from being dealt with now at this time of year? Well, this is one, but I think that's probably the only one. There's nothing else that's outgrowing its mount or getting clumsy or cumbersome or anything like that. I think that's it. So there'll be just that one to take off and split. And I must remember in future, now that I've had more Oncidium types on mounts, you don't mount them on the piece of wood that way, because they grow out sideways. They don't grow upwards and downwards. So you mount them on a piece of wood that way. That way, if they go out sideways, they've still got some wood to grow onto. So, you know, I mean, you learn. As time goes on, you learn. And it's a while ago I first decided to try mounting a few Oncidium types to see how they would do. And quite honestly, they do very well. You can never overwater them. They're highly unlikely to ever get any rot issues as a consequence. You're de-risking quite a lot of the things that you include by potting. But they will outgrow their mounts if they're vigorous. You know, I mean, a plant like that on a mount, yes. I mean, if I split that plant into 2 now, or 3 it would go into, it's got 3 leads on it. In theory, it should have 5 leads. It had 5 spikes. But either way, a piece of that could be separated off and put on a mount. But it's a tall plant, so the mount would be clumsy. But, you know, it would probably grow as well, if not better. That's just how it is. Anyway, I shall leave it at that. As I say, we've got some nice drop of sunshine, but it's already gone hazy, so it's not as bright as it was when I started filming. So a little bit of work to do today, and get myself sorted out. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. It may well be the kitchen session, may well be tomorrow, because tomorrow there won't be any watering to do. So if I don't do some potting or that type of stuff, there'll be nothing to do, if you see what I mean. And I feel a bit guilty because I've done nothing all weekend. And I sort of think, well, surely I should be doing something. You can't just stand here and look at them. You have to do some work. That's the way it goes. But I'll get the mounts done today. It's only a flush today, so it won't take me long at all. And then I will see you with something for tomorrow. And thanks for your patience putting up with no videos. I don't think I've gone quite that long for quite a while anyway. I mean, I've often got one sort of prepared in advance that I can just sort of throw up, but I've run out. I haven't actually got any backup videos at the moment, so if I don't make some more, there won't be any. So I better get on with it, and I'll be thinking about that today while I'm doing stuff, and we'll see how we go. But this is going to be the next little port of interest, I think, the Soto Annum. Highly fragrant, this one. A real, you could class it as a stinker if it wasn't such a pleasant smell, but it's a strong smell. And this is recovered enough to let these blooms run, because these are not massive spikes. You know, there's just some flowers, so it's not going to drain the plant any sense. So, and they are starting to create a new root system, having lost the old one. Yeah, when you've got a vigorous Oncidium type and it's in growth, the last thing you do is let it dry out. And let it dry out frequently, one after another, because what I did, I left it in my normal watering program at the frequency that the other pots were getting watered, whereas the Soto Annum was using up the water twice as quick and remained dry for several days before it got done again. So it just lost its roots, basically. They just shriveled up and died. So we won't be doing that again. Nearly lost it. Then it got scale, which didn't help, but I managed to shift them. There's very little scale left in here now. I won't say we've won, because they'll always be lurking, but consequences, several Tolumnias got binned on the grounds that they were too weak to survive the scale attack, and the scale was still there. I thought by remaining with the other Tolumnias, those scale can transfer to other plants that are clean. You know, like my new ones that have just come in. So I actually just dumped them. I don't need every single Tolumnia that bad that I'm going to risk the scale getting into the rest of the plants. The Cattleyas look pretty clean now after their bleach spray. They seem pretty good now, although I'm sure there'll be a few come back. You know, I won't have got every single one, I doubt. And not much else going on. I did find a couple of mealybugs over the last couple of weeks, but you know, when you can count mealybugs on one hand, you haven't got a problem. You just kill each one as you go. No big deal. Right, let's get going, get some work done. I've got some computer stuff to catch up on. And yeah, all good fun. And this should have been quite a big event, really. And it ended up being a little cosy event, and I enjoyed it. I'm not that much in for big events, I must admit, and the last thing I want is a bloody disco. Excuse my French. Just killed the live musicians, sort of venues and everything. I've objected to that all my life. That is gorgeous, isn't it? This one's going over or has changed colour, and I'm not quite sure which. But if it's going over, then they obviously don't last too long. But very, very attractive. And they've got a wobbly lip, look. It's like on a hinge. So that's a pollination trick. You know, the stripes lead the pollinator in to land, and when it lands, it throws it off balance. And it sort of flaps about trying to get its balance and get a grip, and grabs hold of the polliner, which is just directly above it. And there you go. And then flies off somewhere else to dump the polliner and keep it going, which is what we want. So, yeah, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. It's enough waffle. Bye for now.